This is Mr. Ward, and this is the last video on the 2017 8th grade Math MCAS questions, because they only released 5 questions for some reason. So which of the following is an irrational number? Well, to figure out which one's an irrational number, we need to figure out what a rational number is. Rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed as fractions, which means irrational numbers cannot be expressed as a fraction. When I say as a fraction, I mean as a fraction of 2 whole numbers or negative numbers. That will show up in decimal form. So like 2/3 is a rational number, 1/2 is a rational number, 8 is a rational number because 8 over 1, -22, 0, that's a rational number because you could express it as 0/5 or 0 over any number. But in the decimal form, rational numbers will have either an end, they will terminate, like B does here. So B is a rational number. So we would mark B as no. That is not irrational because it's rational. It has an end. Another one that would be a rational number is 7.1234 repeating. If it repeats, if it has a repeating pattern, it goes forever, it's a rational number. That would be 7 and 1,234 9,999ths. That is also not an irrational number. 2 over the square root of 9 looks weird, but we can get the square root of 9. So that's 2 over the square root of 9, which is 2/3, which is a ratio of 2 whole numbers, of 2 integers. That is a rational number. It would come to a decimal as 0.6 repeating. So it has a repeating pattern, goes on forever, but the repeating pattern also means it's rational. So the only one that's left is D, and that is the answer. The square root of 2 is an irrational number. So we're dividing an irrational number by a rational number, which will lead to an irrational number. All of the square roots of prime numbers are going to be irrational. And most of the square roots of numbers that are not of prime numbers are also, unless it's a perfect square, it's almost certainly going to be irrational. They're not going to probably give you any of the tricky ones. There are exceptions, like 0.25 is the square, the square root of 0.25 is 0.5, for example. So decimals sometimes will work out, but this one, no. The square root of 2, in fact, the square root of 2 is kind of where the idea of irrational numbers came from. It is told that in the Pythagorean math cult, the Pythagoreans murdered one of their members who revealed to the world that the square root of 2 was irrational, because they felt all numbers were perfect, and they had discovered with their work with the Pythagorean theorem that if you made the diagonal of a square, the diagonal's relationship to the sides was the square root of 2, and they couldn't resolve the square root of 2 into a ratio, and that made them very, very mad. And so apparently they threw one of their members overboard and drowned him in the Mediterranean after he, in a moment of loose lips, revealed the secret heresies of the Pythagorean math cult. So yes, people have murdered over math many times in history. Start learning the math history and it'll come alive.